The following is a local resident producers program. The program content is the sole responsibility of the producer and does not necessarily reflect the views or policies of CATV2, Oshkosh Community Media Services, the City of Oshkosh, or Time Warner Cable.
Hi everybody, welcome to Eye on Oshkosh, and we're very pleased to be welcoming tonight this gentleman's second appearance on the show, but the first one as a city council person. Harold Buchholz is here, and welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, Cheryl.
The
Thanks
first
for
time
having
you
me
were
on
on,
the second time. Yep.
You betcha. The first time you were on, you were here as a member of, as a concerned citizen and as a member of the Historic Preservation Landmarks Commission, I guess it's called. You were trying to save the water tower on the shores of Lake Winnebago,
Correct.
and that effort failed. And
She's gone, isn't she?
sadly, she's down. How do you feel now that she's down?
Well, there's personal feelings, and then there was the feeling that I was representing that day, which was for the Landmarks Commission, and the Landmarks Commission obviously wants some things looked at in terms of possible alternative uses, adaptive uses, just that the numbers didn't make any sense to us in terms of what we were being told in terms of the restoration costs for it. And so those were the concerns I brought that evening. On a personal basis, again, you know, that kind of money to try, and again, the money was the big issue. Was it, you know, 200,000 or was it $1.5 million? You know,
Yeah,
there was a big disparity there. So personally, you know, at $1.5 million, I may have voted no myself.
Yeah.
For 200,000, you know, maybe we could have considered something. So really, that I had two different points of view, and I gave the landmarks point of view that evening.
Yeah. So as a sitting council member now, if you had to vote on this, depending on what the cost really was, you might have voted to take it down too, huh?
It might have been, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, speculation and maybe hindsight in that.
Betcha.
But you know, we have to be concerned with what we're spending. So, and I would certainly look at a fiscal responsibility on that as well.
Yeah, and I think that's to your credit. You know, you were so passionate about that water tower, and as I think a lot of us, you know, especially the townies, you know, may have been, and yet you're able to and you know, willing to separate your passion and personal feelings for. You know, the good of the community. So, you know, I commend you on that. Well, this is your first appearance, as I said, as a sitting council member, and you were appointed earlier this year after the seat was vacated by Paul Esslinger, who was elected mayor in April. And the appointment process certainly got a lot of people in the community talking, you know, but in the end, the council selected the person. They went through a lot of well, I'm not going to call them interviews because really nobody was asked any questions, but they took applications from a lot of people, and everybody came and made a presentation to the council. A lot of talk was made of your email that was sent to the council too prior to that meeting. You know, some felt that was not the greatest of things to do. Some thought that the council should have made it clear that you had sent that email. There's a lot of scuttlebutt about it. Why did you send that email?
I'm trying to recall exactly what I said in the email. So
I don't remember what you said
I wish
either,
you would have
but-
had that here, but I guess I was just, I declared my intentions that I had that morning decided to seek the position, and hoping that, and I laid out a couple of things in terms of what my goals were in that process, that I would want to work collaboratively with the council. I wanted to see some certain things like, you know, good customer service and continuous improvement be part of the you know, city staff operation and government operation. and that really I wanted to come in just to see if I could, help and support government at the local level, and just asked, hopefully that they would support me in that. I knew there was it's an open email. It was, it was open to the public. Anybody could see it. I didn't write anything special in there. I didn't try to address it to a certain individual. I guess it was just like an introductory letter is the way I took that to be.
Kind of like a cover letter when you're sending a resume.
Yep. And I think there was even some discussion when the process was being discussed whether or not a letter could be forwarded with the application. And I think that the comment or the agreement was that yes, it could. So I felt the email really turned out to be my cover letter, so to speak. So.
Yeah. Okay. Having gone through this process, how do you feel about the selection process? Because there was some discussion about, well, should it be the fourth top vote getter from the election that had just been held, a few weeks prior to that or whatever? And, how did you feel about the manner in which someone was selected?
Well, I think the council made the right choice.
Well, okay.
And I heard the comments afterwards and some of the criticism to that process. I looked at that process and reviewed myself, and I said, look, they had the option of taking the fourth person, and that would have been a popular vote count. And I said to myself, well, had there been a special election, who's to say I wouldn't have gotten 4,500 votes or 4,600 votes? So I kind of put that to the side and said, well, I think they probably made a good choice. And then as far as a special election, they didn't want to spend the cost of that. And I could see that for a 10-month term, that made sense to me. And so then came the third option of appointment. And at that point, I'm like, okay, this is exactly my opportunity to step forward, because now I don't have to put signs in front of people's houses, vote for Buchholz or whatever. And I thought from a background and professional experience background, I felt I had a pretty good chance. I didn't know who was running against me or who would be running against me. I just felt by my own credentials that I thought I could stand up to whatever challenges I might get.
Mm-hmm. Well, there were a handful of very, very good, strongly qualified candidates, and you were certainly one of them. Yeah. And I personally, for what it's worth, I like the job you're doing. I mean, I never agree with everybody's voting record 100%. I don't think anybody does. But you know what? You're doing your homework. I mean, you ask a lot of questions. I mean, I think. Myself, I was surprised in other folks that I've talked to too. Boy, you were asking questions right out of the chute at that very first meeting. And a lot of times you see people who are, they're a little tentative, they're trying to just kind of get their bearings, and they're not asking questions. Some people have been on there for a long time and didn't ask questions, and maybe that's why they're no longer there. I don't know, but you ask questions right out of the chute, and you can tell you do your homework.
And I got to step back just a little bit. I fully agree with you. There were quite a few very well qualified candidates. I have a deep respect for Mr. Hentz. He was the one that actually suggested me for the Landmarks Commission. So you can see how the wheel goes round and round.
Yeah.
But again, I felt pretty confident. I felt I had some good credentials, and I thought one of my goals was to definitely make sure I would do my homework coming into a council meeting. I didn't want to come in there and sit there and just try to poke at things or pretend that I was aware of something or knew the issue well enough to comment on, just to make comments. And I don't want to politicize that position either. So I'm not, as I'm sitting there for 10 months, I'm not trying to run for office for 10 months. I'm just trying to make sure that I'm involved in the work of the council and for the city of Oshkosh. And
sure.
It may sound a little altruistic, I don't know, but it's really from the heart, and that's how I want to approach it. And I know you said you might ask me a question about next year, and I said, well, I'll probably skirt that, but I think again, if you look at my approach in this, it's basically just to make sure that I'm doing the best job I can for those 10 months, and then let that chip fall where it may.
Okay, well, you opened the door, so I'll go there. I'll walk through it. Because there was some discussion. Originally, the Northwestern had said in their article that you had said you would not seek election after your appointment term had expired, but you've indicated that that was in error, what they published. You never said that.
That's correct.
Some other candidates, I guess, had said that, but you were not one of them. And evidently there was a correction run, but I don't think a lot of us saw it. I know I certainly didn't. So just to set the record straight, you never said that.
I never said that. I believe the Northwestern said that Mr. Hentz and I had both said that we would not run. I made that, the minute I saw or heard that comment, I contacted the Northwestern and said that I wanted that to be corrected because I never said that. And I'll say that today to you.
So will you possibly run in the spring? Or will you have had your fill of this craziness by then?
I felt I would probably skirt this with you, and I probably will, maybe in some regard anyway, but I do want to finish out a strong 10 months. And at the time when I have to file nomination papers and such, I guess obviously I have to make a decision at that point. If I do decide that at that point I do want to run, I will not campaign in a typical manner. I'm not in favor of putting signs on people's lawns. If I am to run, it will be on the nature of what people have perceived me to do in terms of the job I held for the 10 months. So I would only go on reputation and on what I've been able to do for the community, what people thought, whether or not they should retain me or not.
Well, let me tell you, as someone who's run in spring elections, those signs are tough to get in the ground that time of year anyway, so you're probably doing yourself and everybody else a big favor.
Save some money too.
Exactly, and save some trees. It's great that you want to finish out the 10 months. Unfortunately, you're going to have to make a decision before the 10 months are up, sometime in December, because you can, I guess, start collecting signatures early January. So.
I haven't even looked at when the filing date is, so I'm not even sure when that happens, to be honest with you.
Or maybe, I can't remember either. I think you have to kind of make a decision sometime in December and maybe file the papers. I don't know. In a few months, you're going to have to make a decision.
It's in the cold months. It isn't in the warm months.
That's right.
We know that.
That's right. We do know that much. So do you think then it would be wise to put together a formal policy right now on how to go about filling a vacancy, whether it's through a situation like you had, or whether it's someone who moves out of the area, who becomes ill and has to vacate their seat?
Cheryl, and maybe again, I'm speaking maybe from a biased point of view on that, but I thought the process was good. I mean, when you have 14 people step forward and everything is made public in their resumes and they're brought in front of the public to give their points of views as to why they should be sitting up there, I have no objection to that. I don't know if in those 10 months we should even take that on, because if I decide not to run, then maybe the council that is elected can decide that. I really don't feel it was such a bad thing for the city to do. Again, maybe it's from a biased point of view, but I guess we have to look at the outcome. The outcome was they didn't have a special election. The outcome was there were people who were upset with the process, but there are also people who were very much in favor of what the outcome was. So as many emails as we may have seen from the side that said, hey, you guys better do a better job at this process, I received a lot of emails that said, hey, on paper, you're the best guy up there, and there were people who were talk to me when I meet them on the street and say, you're doing a good job. And so I'm looking at the outcome and then I'm thinking to myself, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe they got lucky.
They could adopt that as a formal policy then. Just hey, we're gonna take applications and interview people or whatever, and that's the policy. So
and it brought a lot of diverse candidates out, and I think will an election bring out that much diversity? I'm not so sure. Maybe I would like to see a woman in that as well. In that group of candidates, but it was a lot of diverse background individuals. So. Yeah. Would that come out in a regular election? I'm not so sure.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some of the things that you've faced so far since you've been appointed. The liquor license renewal for O'Brien's was certainly one of the probably more contentious. And certainly it took up a lot of time at a council meeting. And you were one of the 5 who voted in favor of renewing their liquor license against the recommendation of Police Chief Groyle. And since they have had their license renewed, there have been at least one pretty major incident that's gone down over there, which I guess allegedly included a pistol whipping. Do you have any regrets about your decision? Of course, hindsight's always 20/20. But knowing what you know now, do you have any regrets about your decision? And I guess the second part of that then, Harold, would be, if the problems continue, would you be willing to bring them back in front of the council and look at revoking their license?
And to the first part of the question, Cheryl, no, I have absolutely no regrets to that. The message that we try to send, or at least from my perspective and my vote was, and I thought I made it pretty clear in addressing Mr. Ostertag and the attorney for O'Brien's, that there were some inconsistencies in what they brought forward. Police Chief Groyle and the abatement and programs that they run, the way the police department conducted themselves and brought the case, absolutely no questions, nothing that would have made me say, hey, you folks did something wrong, or you're ostracizing this individual and his business. It was more of a message to say, if you didn't get it, if you didn't understand what this is all about, dear business owner of an establishment, then get it now, because the next time you come in front of, at least with my vote, you will not be getting it. And so we also knew while we're sitting there making that vote that Police Chief Groyle at any time can bring up revocation to the council. And so I guess deep down we're thinking to ourselves that if it had been that bad, or if the chief thought it was that tenuous of a situation, then he should have brought it forward as a revocation and not as a renewal, which came up for a vote to issue the license. So, and in retrospect, I've spoken with Chief Groyle. I emailed him afterwards saying it was nothing having to do with the police department, the way they conduct themselves. I'm very appreciative of the abatement program that they did with him. And he said, well, since then, it raised the bar a little higher, but now you've told me there's been an incident, so maybe the bar has dropped a little bit again. But no, the vote was there. If that was to be a repeat performance that particular establishment would do, I would not be voting for that.
Okay. Well, let's see. Another question that I get asked pretty regularly by folks, and I don't know, in your short time on the council, maybe this has come up too. The Pioneer Inn has just been sitting there for so long, several years, and it's just, there's no business being conducted there. They lost their liquor license last year because it wasn't being used, and I'm sure that there were some other factors involved in that. But, we've seen graffiti on the side of the building. The lawn's not always mowed. Do you have any, and if you haven't come up with this in your short time on the council, I understand, but have you heard anything about what's happening with that property?
In the time that I've been, I believe it's maybe going on 4 months. Time flies,
Yeah, it does.
Fun. I have not heard anything come to the council in that regard. I think we all deep down feel that we need to have something happen over there. As far as anything specific coming forward or that, nothing has come forward. So the only comment I can make to that is I think we would all agree something needs to happen over there.
Okay, all right, good. And I thought about that because of the liquor license thing, and it is something that people, they see me and they say, hey, what's happening with that?
Sure.
I don't know, so I'm asking the people who do know. The budget process, this is about to get underway pretty quickly. We're taping this on the 17th of September, and I know that the city manager has said he wants to come on and talk about the budget when he gets it a little bit more formulated and so forth, and I'm always pleased to have him on. But, what is your sense so far, as you prepare to enter budget hearings on what we may be looking at?
I'm looking forward to it in some ways. I think my business and financial background will make me ask those kinds of questions that I think will bring some concerns to maybe overspending in some areas, or maybe looking at efficiencies and improvements. I'm a big continuous improvement guy. I'll put that on the table. So I'll be looking at the budget very closely, probably in more detail than maybe some of the folks do. I think City Manager Roloff is really preparing himself and his staff properly. I've been watching, you know, before I became a council member, I watched a lot of council meetings, so the budget has been improving, the process for the budget has been improving term for term, year for year. And so I think, you know, the citizens of Oshkosh should see that, well, at least the budget process is getting better. So now we have to just haggle over, you know, what impact is it going to have? And with the economic recession and everything that we're going through, it'll definitely be a challenge. But I'm looking forward to it. And again, I think we have the right horses in place. And I'm speaking of Mr. Roloff respectfully in that regard, in the way he's prepping us and getting ready, the workshops, the announcements, the newsletter things, and the way he's getting his staff ready to be ready to respond to us in that regard. So I feel I'm ready for that, and it's not going to be easy.
No.
It'll be a tough thing. So.
All right, good. Well, as we're taping this, at least when we started taping this, it still might be going on. There was a public informational type meeting upstairs on the golf course and stormwater detention. And the golf course we're talking about is West Haven, not the current city-owned golf course. You were up there for a little while tonight, or were you there at the other one earlier this week?
I was up there just for a few minutes before I came down to see you and spend that wonderful time with you here.
Thank you.
And I did watch in on the Tuesday meeting. I was actually at the Christine Ann Center for their 25th anniversary, and I thought that was a little bit more important for me to support that. And so I did go home then and watch the remainder of that session. And obviously this has come to the council. It's been presented to us as far as the plan, and now we're looking for citizens' inputs, and that process is taking place. I'm very happy that it is taking place. As far as the golf course and taking positions on that, I've never played golf at West Haven. I'm not a very good golfer, so if anybody out there wants to play West Haven with me, let me know so I could get a feel for that. There is a lot of work that we have to do in terms of information and evaluation and different options of this whole stormwater. I hope it just doesn't come down to a golf course. I hope that stormwater and the flooding issues that Oshkosh has doesn't come down to that singular issue of a golf course, because it's much broader. It's a much broader issue. So what I want to see happen is that all those options, all the possibilities, the different cost benefits and paybacks, and then what will be the outcomes? Will we actually minimize the flooding issues that we had in 2004 and 2008 by the things that we're going to be doing? You know, we just did the Tippler. Tippler is actually under construction as we speak, from what I heard up there. So, you know, to see the outcome of some of the things that we voted on and want to spend monies on and the citizens are supporting is going to be important to me. But as we look at the Sawyer Creek and the Camel Creek and the West Haven Golf Course, I've got to see a lot of stuff come forward, a lot of numbers, a lot of options, a lot of different possibilities of which way we can go, and then will there really be a beneficial outcome to the community? What is the probability that benefit will really be high?
Sure. And of course, for viewers, you know, we've had this mentioned on the show in the past by Department of Public Works folks who have been here. You know, this particular golf course, if this is the proposal that they bring forward to you guys, that's just one of several detention ponds that either have been put in around town or are in the works of being put in. Just in the last couple of years, there have been some that have been put in on the northern end of the city. You mentioned the Tippler one, and there's others that are planned too. So it's, you know, it's ever evolving. It's a work in progress, and there's no one place that's the be all and end all. Right. No panacea.
And you couldn't probably have enough money to hit it all at once if we wanted to.
Right.
You couldn't do that. Then it's been
very
said.
Costly.
Yep. It's been said by Public Works. I think Mr. Potek even self-stated that. So I think maybe it's more a pragmatic approach of bit by bit, seeing what the outcomes are, seeing what we can afford, seeing what the benefit would be to prevent future flooding, and again, look at the better possibilities and again, gauging that or you know, putting it up against the economic recession that we currently have and the pressure folks are feeling in terms of taxes and the economic situation that we're all in.
Okay. You know, I realize that you're still pretty new on the council and so forth, but you've obviously watched a lot of meetings prior to being appointed, and you've been involved in city commissions and boards in the past. You know, now that you're sitting up there, do you feel that you guys are doing, not just you on the council, but the city as a whole, do you think you're, you know, tackling things in the right way? Where do you think the city could maybe improve? I know that's a big question and kind of loaded, but you know, that's the one thing we hear all the time, and you read it on the blogs, people constantly complaining about things that the city is doing, and you see very little written about the good things that they're doing. The city's doing a lot of good things, you know, but what's your perspective on that?
You know, when I look at the current makeup of the council, I think, oh, that's a pretty darn good council. You know, it's got some good background mix and some good perspectives, and you know, maybe this is a good operating council. I like to start at the level of, well, let me start back a little bit, because I think most folks like myself have been frustrated with the Washington government in terms of the partisan bickering, the inability to get things done. And so I think some of my interest in actually wanting to be a council person and serve at the local level is to say that I can do better. I think we should be able to do better than what we see at the national level. And so when I look at the functioning of this particular council, I like to start with the boards and commissions. I think they're an essential part to bringing information, resolutions, issues to the council, and so I like to maybe see us spend more time and effort in making sure that boards and commissions are populated properly, meaning that there's a full membership is there, and maybe it has a good diversity of the background of the city. So that would be one of my goals. And then as far as operationally, again, one of the two goals that I was able to talk about in my first session at the council meeting was to add to Mr. Roloff's goals was, I like to see continuous improvement in the city staff in every department, because there has been a lot of talk about, especially some certain departments, not being very customer service driven. And so I like to see both customer service and continuous improvement be a strategic goal for city staff, that we actually start serving the people who elect us, and which is again one of those things we can't say too much about Washington at most times, is that they forget who they actually represent. And I hope that at a local level we have to remember that those are our customers, and as council members and as city staff we should honor that, and we should work in that regard. So my approach is basically the boards, commissions, and then working with Mr. Roloff to try to get city to improve its operations through continuous improvement and through better customer service.
Okay, all right, very good. And just real quickly, I know that the Plan Commission has recently approved, a couple months ago, they approved some modifications to the riverfront development plans, and just real recently, like within the last week or so, the Redevelopment Authority has approved some exempt bonds, tax exempt bonds for them to develop things. So we're obviously moving in the right direction there. When do you think we might see ground being broken over there?
That I don't know. I wish, as you, that things will start moving forward. I don't quite recall what the next step was. I know there was something in the city manager's newsletter, I thought, but at the moment it eludes me exactly when something was supposed to begin. So I'm going to have to say I cannot answer that correctly or accurately, at least.
That's fair. Harold, thanks. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Love to have you back.
Thank you.
And we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we will be joined by the person who is in charge of renovating and operating the Time Community Theater. We'll be right back.
Dear Mom and Dad, well, I finally have some time off, so I'm writing to tell you that I'm doing well. We have good days and bad days over here. We try to remember the good ones and get through the bad ones. Mostly we have each other, and that's what keeps us going. And Mom, since you asked, if anyone wants to help, just tell them to contact the USO. You can't believe how much they do for us. With love, your son, Michael.
Every year, the U.S. Department of the Treasury receives about 1.4 million reports of problems with paper checks. Checks can be lost, stolen, or delayed. If you still receive Social Security payments by paper check, Treasury wants you to know about a safer, more convenient way to get your money. The Direct Express Prepaid Debit MasterCard. The Direct Express card is new and is available to anyone receiving Social Security benefits, even if you don't have a bank account. Your monthly benefits will be automatically placed onto your card account each month on the day your money is due. While other debit cards cost money, it is possible to use the Direct Express card for free to make purchases, pay bills, and get cash at thousands of locations nationwide. There are no sign-up or monthly account fees. No more waiting for the mail or worrying about lost or stolen checks. Call 1-877-212-9991 or visit www.usdirectexpress.com.
We were in an emergency situation. We don't have extra. We have a little bit of water and a little bit of food. A meeting place, no.
No.
I don't think we have a first aid kit.
We have tuna fish, we have
Right.
beans, we have canned tomatoes,
True.
you know.
That's true, but that's really not survival food. Tomato paste.
Yeah, well, yeah, right?
And welcome back to Eye on Oshkosh. Very pleased to be joined now by Rick Maki. He is in charge of, as I mentioned before the break, heading up and managing and renovating, not single-handedly, but it may feel that way at times, the Time Community Theater. And we're very, very pleased to have you on. This is your first time here.
Yes, it is. Thanks so much.
Hopefully it won't be your last.
Well, thank you.
I guess it
appreciate
depends on how I
that.
treat you, right?
Well, how many badabadahs I say as well.
We had, I'm trying to think how long ago it was, maybe about 1.5 years, 2 years ago, and maybe that's not even that long, but I did have Reverend Joe Greer on.
Yes.
He was talking about things that were going on over there and so forth, and you know, but he's no longer part of the picture.
Well, Joe
or-
is still on the board.
Okay.
Joe is it was sort of through Joe's terrific energy that we got things started with the whole project. He kind of started talking to some other people in the community and wanted to see if we couldn't do something to make the theater useful. And it was his idea, and he was elected the first president of the board, and that was just over 2 years ago. And we sort of were thinking that we were going to rotate officer positions every couple of years anyway. But kind of just right around that 2-year time mark for Joe, some circumstances changed in his situation with work, and he ended up moving to Appleton, and he's working at a church up there now. So.
But still not totally out of the picture as
No,
far as
he's
the time
he's
goes.
still involved with the
Okay,
time.
good. And so when did you come on board then?
I was one of the founding 2 years ago. I was
Okay.
at the first
All right.
organizational meeting, and we've just sort of gained a few and lost a few along the way, as those things kind of tend to go.
Okay, all right. Well, we've got a sample of your logo here, and if we can just put that up so that if people happen to see this, they know what it's all about. And, you know, for anyone who doesn't know where this is, maybe someone, I mean, certainly people who have been here for a lot of years know where the Time Theater is. But it is downtown. It's at 445 North Main Street, and it's been around forever. It's a staple of downtown Oshkosh,
Well,
really.
no pun intended, I'm sure, because as you may or may not know,
Yeah.
the property's owned by the Staple family.
Yes,
and
from Kits and File,
it's
yes.
through their generosity that we're currently in the theater. So, yes, it has been around. The theater, well, it was built in the 1870s, shortly after the last great Oshkosh fire. And one of our board members, Lori Hoover, is working on putting together kind of a brochure about the history. But it first opened as the Superba Theater in 1917, or 1908 rather. So it's been a theater for many, many years, and in different incarnations was even at one point a quote-unquote people's theater. So.
What's a people's theater?
Well, it was like sort of like what we're doing now, only not a collective for the community, more of a community venture than a commercial venture, is my understanding.
I remember movies being shown down there, and it was always so nice to have a second theater to actually go to see movies.
Yep.
And,
It's a great theater for many purposes, and movies are among the things that we have been doing there and want to kind of expand on as we move along. Right now, we are only showing original films, and we had another of our board members was a producer of a film called The Hungry Bull, which was shot in Oshkosh and Neenah, full-length feature film, and they had their premiere at the theater. And we just recently had the Dr. Kickbutt movie premiere there, Kick, Savin' a Beauty, which was a 2-night event with a concert. And that went really well too, and that's also a full-length film. It runs about 65 minutes. So we're doing some movies there, but we have to get the proper licensing to show like second-run movies or things that aren't in the public domain or original works. So.
well, you know, just a thought, and since this isn't being done, maybe there's a good reason for it, but you know, you guys are so grassroots and so forth, and you know, get back to the basics. Would there be any possibility of ever showing things that have been shown at like Sundance? You know, those are independent movies, and you know, usually pretty low budget.
Finding those kinds of people would be just terrific. You know, we've got, of course, our starts right around here locally, and like I say, we've had these 2 locally produced films. But if people from other corners of the world want to come and present their films, fine. Independent filmmakers would certainly be welcome. I mean, that's just one of the things that, as a community theater, our board really is interested in expanding on.
Okay, all right, good. Just a little bit, what is your background? Okay, you're chuckling. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Well, I'm the former owner of the New Moon, so I'm real interested in entertainment and real interested in downtown. I ran the cafe business for 5 years, and then the Bear Brothers took over. And I'm an entertainer. I don't really call myself a musician because I'm not quite that good, but I like to play music, and I play in several local bands and sit in at Jazz Orgy down at Peabody's and things like that. So,
What do you play?
Vibraphone, like a xylophone, many people would call it, and other percussion things.
All right. Okay, good. You know, you I think kind of touched on this a little bit already, Rick, but why is the time so important to you personally? Is there any cute anecdote that you can share, or is it just that you love theater and this is...
Well, I think probably the latter part of your question really is key. I think all of us that are involved in it, and hopefully people that are watching that are interested, share a love for the arts. And we have a really disparate group of people that are on the board, but we all kind of collectively bring our own ideas, and we've got a magician on the board, filmmakers, musicians, people that used to go to the theater just to watch movies and enjoy those memories. So why it's close to me personally is I enjoy booking things and arranging productions is something that I like to do. I don't know why, but I do.
Because it's a lot of piddly type work when you're planning
much more
something.
than most people realize. Yeah, absolutely.
One of the things that you guys are doing is you are undergoing renovations, and you know, that's kind of been an ongoing sort of thing, as I'm sure you know most people could understand. But what is the status of renovations right now, and what are you hoping to do?
Moving very slowly at this point. You know, as we mentioned, we started about 2 years ago, and in the time from then till now, who knew the whole world economy was sort of going to go into a little bit of a sag. So our fundraising efforts have been very difficult, and as you mentioned the word grassroots, most of our fundraising has come from just smaller contributions, and we haven't as of yet interested any corporations or citizens that may have the resources to help us out in kind of working with us to make some of the things we hope to do happen sooner. So right now we're working just to keep the place open, to pay the electric and plumbing bills, the water bill and stuff like that, because all of that really adds up in a hurry as well, especially when you're doing productions. And hoping that as we go along we can make some renovations. The movie theater was what they call a piggyback situation. I think that was done sometime in the late 70s, mid 70s, where they were running 2 screens. In the balcony was closed off to run movies up there, and then on the first floor they ran movies as well. And one of the things that we wanted to do was return the theater to a one theater concept and open up that balcony. And we've been able to do that, and we do have a temporary stage in, and it's open and all that. But there's really no end to the kinds of renovations that we could do to the place. But we're really proceeding slowly to see if we can sustain it, if there's interest in the community in sustaining it. And one of the things we've had is just a tremendous outpouring from the arts community,
Sure.
Which is probably predictable, but I do want to make special mention of that. We put up the logo at the front of the show there, and that was done by a very talented artist and musician, Mario Noche, and he also did the first poster, which I think has already been up, and did some other artwork for us. And we had numerous other artists in town, many from the Jambalaya Cooperative, donate pieces of art for us to do as silent auction items and things like this. So we've been really, really fortunate to have as much support from the artistic community and
Sure.
thus
Well,
far.
And of course, the performances that you guys hold there, those are fundraising type events, if you will, to help pay for the renovations. So I know you brought some photos along, different events that have been held there in the past. What are we looking at here?
This is a picture of the Chaos event that was called Chaos. Was organized by the fellow down in the lower right-hand corner, artist Dahi, David Kelly. Put the event together as a fundraiser for the time, and we had a band by the name of Sam Vega come in from California and play for the event, as well as a couple other bands. And Dahi is in this picture creating the painting you see, kind of inspired by the music. And that was a terrific fundraiser for us, and we'll be probably auctioning the painting at another event sometime early next year.
All right, and if we can maybe put up the next one here. What do we have going up here now, Rick?
Oh, this is just a picture of the premiere. We had lines out in the street for the premiere of the Hungry Bull movie that I mentioned. They're on the left. It's a little bit hard to see, but I just wanted to show kind of how nice it looks at night out there. There was a mariachi band playing out on the sidewalk, and we just had the place pretty well maxed out at that point, and the Blue Heels did a concert CD release party there as well. So that was another successful event for us.
Now, has Janet Planet been there?
She has.
She has?
Yes.
All right.
In fact, I
Janet
think we
Planet's
have
everywhere, right?
Well, Janet and I are old friends, and of course Janet is a consummate artist here in our community. And
oh, there it is, right there.
We got to talking one day about what was going on at the theater, and she was kind enough to bring her band and do a fundraiser for us. I think that was May of 2006, 7. What year are we? We're in 2007, excuse me. So, yep, Janet's been there with a full band, and that was also another successful event. And that one actually prompted a few people that had attended to send us some checks later and comment how wonderful they thought the event was. So that was really heartening.
Okay. Now, who was that was in the picture with her? Was that her husband?
That's her husband, Tom Washatka.
Yeah.
Tenor saxophone player primarily.
Yeah. The most recent time I've seen her and her husband was at a city council meeting not that long ago.
Yes.
To save the grand
we
opera.
were all standing for the grand, myself included. And maybe I could take this chance just to dispel any rumor that we're trying to compete with the grand in some way. I think our missions are two separate things, but I've had any number of people kind of challenge me about that.
Sure. All right. What's this next one that we're seeing here now? What does this say? I guess it's not ready yet. It's not ready yet.
That's the finale shot, I think.
Okay. So all of your performances then are in some way, shape, or fashion fundraisers.
Thus far, that is exactly the case. We just had a band here from Belgium who was on their way to the Chicago Jazz Festival and playing at Lincoln Center a couple of days later, and they heard about what we were doing. They were looking for a venue in the area because they had a show in Minneapolis the night before, a day off, and then Chicago. And they heard about what we were doing, and they came in and did a fundraiser for us. So,
all right. I don't know if I guess we're not ready for that yet. Okay, I'm just not even going to ask anymore. We'll just talk some more. So what do you have coming up in future weeks or months?
well, we have one of our patrons has decided to get married there, so we actually have a fundraising event that they wish to have on October 10th, I believe it is, and then they're going to get married on Sunday. I think it's the October 12th. So that's kind of an interesting first for us. And we're really excited because on Friday, October 16th, we're going to have Eli Mattson, who was a close runner-up in the America's Got Talent show from Wisconsin, a very, very talented singer-songwriter. Eli heard about the theater and contacted us and wondered how he could help. And I just, again, all these artists are reaching out, and it's just been fantastic that way.
Well, that's wonderful. And people can go to your website and see what's coming up. And
yes.
I think we've probably been putting it up, but it's timecommunitytheater.com. And I know theater can be spelt two different ways. Yours is spelled Theater.
Right,
rather
kind
than
of the
RE.
old school, not the fancy English
Yeah,
way.
so timecommunitytheater.com.
Right.
Okay, so we've got this picture up now. So, oh, there he is. You were just talking about him.
Yep.
Okay.
That Eli Mattson on Friday, October 16th, 7 o'clock. The tickets are $20 for that, and you can buy advance tickets right on our website with either PayPal or credit card. There's a button right there for the show, and it's real easy to do. And then you're assured a seat, because I have a feeling that given the buzz that Eli's got going for him, that we might actually sell out our first show.
Yeah.
So
Well,
looking forward
and
to
you
it.
know, and PayPal is such a easy way of doing things.
It sure is.
It's so simple. And you know, for those who would be interested in making a donation to the Time Community Theater also, you can use PayPal for that.
Yep,
and,
we
and
have a
there's
separate
donate
button just for Donate Now.
That's right.
You've been to the site.
Well, yeah, I had to do some research
Do
here,
your
Rick.
homework. Way to go.
You know, years ago, Rebel Alliance Theater did some performances there.
Yes.
And they are now, I know that after they left there, they were doing some things. I think they did a couple of things in like South Park here in town. They were doing some outdoor type venue performances. And now they're in Omro.
That's my understanding, yeah.
And they've been in Omro for a little while. Is there ever a chance that maybe they could find a home again at the time, or is that something that
I
is not
certainly wouldn't
possible?
want to rule that out. You know, right now, our main goal is to fundraise.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can find ways to work with individual artists, musicians, production companies in ways that we can both benefit, we're certainly willing to do that. And I should plug, if anybody that is interested in doing that, to write to Time Booking. It's just timebooking@gmail.com, and I forgot to maybe include that in any information I gave you.
Okay, so they would write to timebooking@gmail.com for what purpose then?
Just if they're interested, if they have a band and they're interested in booking a show or something like that. The website offers, I believe the website will kind of direct them there if they're looking to book a show or something. But I'm certainly willing to entertain any number of production ideas for the sake of the theater and keeping it going.
So basically, if someone has you know, they've got a band or they've got a play or, you know, whatever that they would like to see performed there, walk me through how this works then, Rick. Do they, okay, say you've got someone who's written a play, all right, because a band is self-sustaining basically. Say you've got someone who's written a play. They want to they come to you wanting to have it put on at the time. Do you all have people there who can participate in the play as cast or
No.
crew, or how does something like that work?
For a stage production like that, it would pretty much be the director or producer of the production coming in, having a look at what we have there, and we aren't a well set up facility right now, particularly for a theater style production. We don't have any kind of fly space. We don't have multiple curtains to hide things behind.
No backdrops.
No backdrops. No special lights to speak of. So we need all of that stuff if we're really going to do something beyond a 1 or 2 or very minimal kind of production. But the process would be contacting us, letting us know what they had in mind, taking that to the board, discussing it, seeing what basically they want to do and when they want to do it, and if it's open in our schedule and we can work out the details, then we do it.
And then they take none of the money that's taken in. It's all given to you, or
no? That's not entirely the case. Some of the productions that we've had or events that we've had there, people have donated 100% of the proceeds to the theater straight away.
That's their part of giving back.
Right, they're part of giving back. And in other events, people have to get paid a little something for gas, for their time, for expenses that they've incurred promoting things. I use this Dr. Kickbutt show as an example. There were, I think, 16 people playing in the Dr. Kickbutt orchestra, so it's nice to at least give everybody a couple of dollars to get there and stuff, and it's not like anybody's getting rich on the deals, even the theaters. So we generally try and work out some kind of split or some kind of arrangement where the theater group ends up taking some money, and the person doing the event hopefully ends up with something that's fair to them.
Okay, all right. Now, if someone wants to get involved with the theater itself and its performances, not necessarily as a performer, but they'd like to work with your group, they'd maybe like to serve on the board, what are the opportunities for someone to do that?
Rich.
Not even just serving on the board, but let's just say they want to get involved in some kind of a volunteer aspect.
Well,
what opportunities are there for them?
There are numerous opportunities, both to serve on our board or work in a helping capacity at the theater if they don't want to become involved with all of the tedium that goes with having meetings and taking notes and those kinds of things. But we definitely are looking for people interested in helping us. We have a presence at every gallery walk, and we need people just to kind of supervise, give tours around the theater, that kind of thing. And right now we're kind of averaging over the last few months probably about 4 shows a month down there of one kind or another, 4 events a month, I guess I should rather say it. But we need people that are interested in helping on any level, whether it's financially, emotionally, or just being down there, like I say, to help sell pop and give tours.
Okay.
So you can find us through our website. You can write to the Time booking address, or you can come to one of our meetings. We hold our meetings on the last Wednesday of every month at 6:30 at the theater. And those are open meetings, so anybody that's interested is welcome to attend.
Well, in that way, if somebody is a little uncertain of what they want their level of involvement to be, or if they want to be involved at all, they can go to a meeting and, kind of see what it's all about, right, and see if they want to get their feet a little bit more wet,
That's right.
So the last Wednesday of every month at what time?
6:30.
6:30, right there at the theater.
Yes.
And the front door is open at that point?
Yep, for the
people?
meeting, yes.
Okay. And so we've talked about ways that they can get involved, other than just writing a check, or you'll take checks too.
Absolutely.
But PayPal is also a great way of doing it. We've talked about other ways for people to get involved. Other than Eli coming up, what are some of the other performances that are on deck right now?
Well, the next I don't know when this is airing, but next week, Saturday, we have 2 bands coming in from California. One is called Ziv, Z-I-V, and the other one is Avian Sunrise.
Okay. And
A
what's
couple of rock bands from California that are touring, and they'll be playing on Saturday, what is it, the 27th?
Okay.
26th or 7th. I
Okay.
have my dates lined up.
This should be airing that week,
Oh,
so the
okay.
timing is
Very good.
perfect on that.
Come and check them out. Good music. And on the gallery walk on the 1st, we'll have a band from Neenah called Tuesday's Delectation.
And that's on
Playing
the
from
1st of
6 to
October.
9 for the first Saturday in October, which is the 1st, is it?
I
Is it
think
the
so. I
First
think,
or the
yeah.
4th? I don't-
But first
I
Saturday
brought
in
a little
October.
calendar, yes.
First Saturday in October, and that will be who from Neenah?
The band is called Tuesday's Delectation.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm not even going to try Delectation. I think I've got it. Well, yeah, I'm going to try it. I think I've got it. All right.
But only you can read that. so-
That's right. That's the trick.
guess that's what
See,
counts.
I've worked as a reporter in my life, and you got to write really fast when you're covering council meetings and school
Yeah,
board meetings
as long
and
as
such.
you can read it, that's what counts.
Sometimes I can't, but in this case I can. Okay, so what other things would you like people to know about the time and what you're trying to do over there?
I think the main thing that I want people, we were talking about this at our last board meeting, is there's a lot of focus on the future all the time, and oh, when our renovations are done, or oh, when we have a new this or a new that, it'll be a really terrific community theater. And I want people to know that there's already a really terrific community theater happening down there. And we've had, like the slides that were put up show you, just a number of terrific events down there. Magic shows, all-age shows, R-rated movie in the Hungry Bull case, G in the Dr. Kickbutt case. A tremendous amount of really good musical events have taken place there, from hip-hop, rock, jazz. So I want people to know what's going on right now. It's not something that's off in the future for us, and hopefully it'll just get better in the future.
Sure. Well, it's important for people to understand that it is a viable theater right now. It may not be wealthy, it may be struggling, but there are things going on there.
Absolutely.
And hopefully it will only get better from this point out. And given the situation right now, I can see why so many of your performances are geared more toward music and the magician, the magic show, because you don't have the backdrops, you don't have scenery and that kind of thing.
All right. We've had people come forward and start to offer us things like that. There was got a really nice email recently offering us some wigs for our costume department, and I had to write back and say, well, we don't quite yet have a costume department, but I'm going to keep your name on file if you don't mind.
There you go.
So,
there you go. All right.
We just
Rick,
need more and more people from the community to find out what we're doing and support us a little bit.
excellent. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to come down and talk about your efforts,
Thank
and
you.
we'd love to have you back in the future
Anytime.
as things continue to unfold. So, again, it's timecommunitytheater.com, and if you're interested in booking an event, it's timebooking@gmail.com, and you can get there through the main website as well. So, anyway, thanks to Rick, thanks to the crew, and as always, thanks to all of you at home. We'll see you next time. Until then, take care. Keep your eye on us. We've got our eye on Oshkosh.
Bye.